Hi guys, so here's another quick tutorial. This one is called Hudl Technique. It's an application that I've used in my practicum placements. It proved to be very useful, particularly for resistance training in the sports performance class that I was teaching, but it also has huge application in the gymnasium when it comes to teaching a variety of different skills, like striking a volleyball or shooting a basketball. So Hudl Technique is a movement analysis application. And so what I've done here is I've already pre-recorded a couple of different movements. So I've just been using the squat as my example for this video. But again, you can use it for throwing, for catching, for any other sport application or game application as well. Running is another good application for this. So a couple of the cool tools that you can use this application for. So let's take a look at the first recording that I did. This is a squat with poor technique. So at the bottom right hand corner you can see there's a pause play button as well as different speeds in which you can watch this. So 1:1 is in real time and 1/8 is kind of in super slow-mo. So we'll watch the first one at 1:1. This is in real time and we can see that there's some bad things going on with my squat here. My knees are coming in. I'm not sure if I'm going to full depth here or not, but my knees are coming in and my ankles are a little bit unstable. So we can watch it again just to make sure. We can watch that at a quarter speed, so a little bit slower motion here. You can also have the option to scroll around at the bottom to speed it forward or reverse it if you wanted to. So we're going to go forward a little bit and press play. And we can see it in a little bit slower motion. So my knees are buckling way in, which is not a good thing, something we typically see a lot with high school students. And my ankles are kind of moving around a little bit more than we'd like them to. So what I would typically use this for is I would take a recording of the first time a student would be performing an action. We'd walk through some of the different cues and improvements on technique that we can. So for instance, in the squat, we always like to tell them to make sure that we're sitting down between our knees, pushing our knees out on the way down, forcing our knees out at the bottom as well as when we're coming up. So the knees are always being pushed out. So we give them that cue, and then we can record them a second time to see if they've had any adjustments or any improvements. So here is my second squat, and you can see in real time that it's a lot better, but I want to just make sure of that, so I'm going to slow it down again. This time we're going to watch it in super slow-mo. And you can see that the knees are forced out nice and wide, and the squat looks good. Another really interesting application for this tool is we can draw on the individual. So we can draw straight lines. So when we're pressing play and we're coming forward, we can press pause and we can see where are our knees over top of our feet. Are we in a straight line, or are our knees buckling in on us? We can also use this application, which I think is a really cool thing, if nothing else, just for the novelty of it, and that is that you can compare your performance with yourself. So you can record a new video and compare it that way. You can compare it with a professional athlete, or you can compare it to previous videos that you've used. And so we'll do that here, and we can go side by side and watch both squats. We'll speed it up here a little bit. Watch both squats at the same time and see what the difference is side by side. Another thing that we can do is we can watch both squats superimposed over top of each other. So we just line them up into a similar position, lock it into place, and then we can click that button on the top right hand corner, and now we can see my first and second squat kind of superimposed over top of each other, and we can compare these two different movements, and we can go to different speeds in this setting as well. So let's just pause it at the bottom, and we can see on my second squat, my knees are directly over top of my toes, whereas on my first squat we can see the knees are kind of coming in at an angle from my toes, which is not exactly what we want, right? So this is something that's really useful about this tool in terms of providing formative assessment. This can be saved, but it does cost money if you want to upgrade it to that level. I've never really had a need to save it, so I'll say no discard. And that's Hudl Technique in a nutshell. A really cool and interesting application for a physical education setting.